And I wondered what the most common question is, because in my mind, I imagine it's people asking about Tom Cruise, but is Tom Cruise one of the most popular questions, and the background and the story behind Tom Cruise, or are you hearing other things?
Well, the biggest question was, where is Shelley?
Mm.
And I would say the next biggest question is, like, what do Scientologists believe? But yes, people do ask about Tom Cruise. I think that what do Scientologists believe is sort of in that same arena, because I think on some level they're hearing me say how I was treated as a kid, how I was part of Scientology's core organization that wasn't allowed to have kids. So they're like, how comes Tom Cruise is allowed to have kids? And so I actually had to do a TikTok explaining the differences why I wasn't allowed to, the different levels of Scientology, where I was a part of their dedicated group called the Sea Org, where I signed a 1 billion year contract where
1 billion with a B.
yes, with a B, where I promise my soul lifetime after lifetime of servitude to Scientology. I'm not allowed to have kids. We lived communally, we worked communally, 15-hour days, 7 days a week, little to no time off, $50 a week. And they're kind of like, well, how come we see Tom Cruise? He's this Scientologist, he's in movies and stuff. How does that add up? And so I think explaining those different levels helped people to see that there's different levels of
As I
Scientology.
recall in your TikTok, I think you said there's Sea Org, which was the one that you were a member of, where you were
Right.
not allowed to have kids, and then there was staff members, and then
Right.
there were the public
That's
level,
right.
and that Tom Cruise is a member of the public level, where you're allowed to sort of live fairly normally.
That's right. Yeah, you're allowed to have a regular job, live in the outside world. You're allowed to marry somebody who's not necessarily a Scientologist and make your own money. But that being said, you're usually in Scientology circles. The person who you marry is usually going to become a Scientologist. So look out, Anna Diarmas. And also, you tend to work in Scientology circles. Like Scientologists tend to work together and hire other Scientologists. So being expelled for them is a big deal too. But they actually at least have some options where if you were born and raised in the Sea Org with no education, like I never really had contact with anybody who wasn't a Scientologist until the year before I left. So I was like afraid of regular people. So at least they have some options, but still, it still sucks.